Maine's wilderness is vast, dark pine forests, low fog, endless silence. It's the kind of place where isolation isn't a luxury, it's a threat. In 2007, a small family moved to a secluded farmhouse in Palmyra, hoping for peace and privacy. But what they found wasn't tranquility, it was terror, a nightmare that would become one of the most documented cryptid encounters in New England. They called it the Palmyra Wolf Pack, but others call it something else entirely. The Dogmen of Maine. Eric and Shelley Martin, along with their teenage daughter, had spent months renovating their farmhouse on Madawaska Road. No neighbors for miles, just trees, marsh, and stillness. It was early September, Labor Day weekend. The sky was clear, and the crickets screamed through the night. But Shelley couldn't sleep. She told investigators she had a feeling that the woods were alive in a way they hadn't been before. So she grabbed a flashlight, stepped out onto the porch, and scanned the tree line. What she saw didn't belong in those woods. The beam of her flashlight cut through the fog and landed on a shape. It was tall, wrongly proportioned. At first, she thought it might be a bear standing upright, but then it turned. Eyes, glowing yellow-green, locked with hers. And then she saw more of them. 3, maybe 5, standing in a staggered line at the tree's edge. They moved in sync, shoulders hunched, arms long like wolves walking upright. One was light brown, the other's darker, sleek, fur-covered, intelligent. Shelley screamed for her husband. Eric rushed out, grabbing a spotlight. When he hit them with the beam, the creatures didn't flinch. They studied him, watching. Then, as if on cue, they slowly stepped backward, vanishing into the woods. Eric tried to convince himself they were wolves, but wolves don't walk on 2 legs, and wolves don't watch you like that. The family went inside and locked every door, but through the night, the motion sensor lights on the porch kept flicking on, one after another, each time followed by faint crunching footsteps in the gravel. Eric told Shelley he was going to the barn to get his rifle. She begged him not to go. He decided to use the car, headlights on, to make the run. The moment he stepped outside, the sensors triggered again. Something was out there. He caught sight of one of them, closed this time. Standing between the trees, chest heaving, its long muzzle shining wet under the light, he froze. The creature's eyes reflected green again, and it tilted its head like it was curious. That was enough. Eric sprinted back inside. For hours, the family huddled in a corner room, lights off, rifles ready, listening as the creatures circled the house, sometimes growling, sometimes completely silent. They didn't sleep, they didn't move. And then, just before dawn, it stopped. When the sun rose, the woods looked almost peaceful again, but the evidence was there. Massive prints in the soil, larger than any dog's, longer than a wolf's. Each toe ended in what looked like hooked claws, like something part animal, part human. On a nearby branch, Shelley found strands of coarse hair, almost black, thick, and oily. There were no bodies, no blood, no damage to the house, just proof that something had been watching them all night. Within weeks, the Martins packed up and left Palmyra for good. They refused interviews for years, until their story made its way into cryptid archives and Maine folklore forums. Investigators later nicknamed it the Palmyra Wolf Pack. But for those who believe, what stalked the Martin family wasn't wolves at all. It was dogmen, ancient, territorial creatures said to haunt the deep forests of the Northeast. Skeptics call it hysteria, misidentified wildlife, sleep deprivation, tricks of rural isolation. But the fear in Eric and Shelley's voices when they described that night, it didn't sound like confusion. It sounded like survival. So if you ever find yourself driving down a quiet road in Palmyra and you see a pair of eyes glinting from the tree line, don't stop. Don't look twice, because you might not be alone.
Thanks for watching, but the nightmares don't stop here. Tap the next story if you dare, and don't forget to subscribe to Nightroot, where true horror runs deep.